Consistency. Stay in the game. You got to get in the game and in business with the will to keep going, with the idea that you're going to face struggles. Pete with a Lower Bros junk removal here. Just like the title suggests, what does some business owners, not just some, but the most successful ones do that I have found that we have worked with, partnered with, and served on a consistent basis, whether it be real estate investors, whether it be real estate agents who or people who own their own brokerages, or real estate, firms, general contractors. What's up, everybody? Pete with the Lower Bros junk removal. Just like the title says, how or what does some business owners and entrepreneurs do that others don't do that basically dictate them succeeding compared to other people? Well, from my experience working with some of these general contractors who've been in business for 30 plus years, real estate investors who've been doing it for 30 plus years, real estate owners, etc. A lot of these other entrepreneurs who I know, people who have been in media, in software, all of that stuff, just in different sectors, but it's the same principle that works. What is it? It's consistency. They basically are in the game. It's time in the game that I noticed that matters. For instance, in this last estate clean out that we had cleaned out you guys will see the video, check out the video. I haven't made it yet, but by the time this airs, check that video out. However, this estate clean out, it wasn't a hoarder house. It was in hoarder conditions because the woman had basically lost the ability to kind of take care of herself, but she didn't want anyone taking care of her. Anyway, she was an antiques dealer, and she owned like 6 other houses, 3 antique shops, and she had literally a mini warehouse next to her house, you guys will see, filled with antiques that were valued at about like 1.5 million or so. Anyways, the general contractor, the real estate investor and general contractor who actually bought the property, this guy, there was nothing special about him, but he's been doing this for 30 something years. Nothing special. Wasn't charismatic. He didn't seem like he was smarter than the average person. What I noticed was the guy just was in business for a long time, and over time learned from it. And a lot of times what I also noticed from these guys is these guys and these women, they don't always have the answers, but they're willing to learn on the job. They're willing to make mistakes and fall on their faces. She just got out of a baseball game. That's why I am not in the truck, or you guys don't see me on a job right now. It's because it was to take her to her baseball game, even though mama wanted to sign her up for baseball. Just so you guys know, I stopped coaching. I coach BJJ, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, MMA, and kickboxing for a few years, and I've been doing it for a long time, and I stepped away from doing that so I could focus solely on the business and building it where I could scale it, where I'm not an operator. Anyways, that's why the kids are with me. What I noticed was it's consistency. It's absolutely consistency. So I'm going to share this quick perspective. It may seem like it has nothing to do with what the title of this video is, but it does completely. There's something called game theory. In game theory, there's 2 types of games. There's the infinite game, and then there is the finite game. Is really simple. You know about it. Baseball, football. Most games are finite games. The players are known, the rules are known, and the time limit is known. Basically, it ends at a certain time, points are kept, and there is usually one winner and others are losers, right? The infinite game, however, is different. You have to view that differently. The infinite game is things like life, business, war. The infinite game, the players are largely unknown and consistently changing. The rules are largely unknown and consistently changing, and there is no time limit. And how do you win the infinite game? Or what is the goal of the infinite game? The goal of the infinite game is not to win the game, but to continue playing as long as possible. The goal of the infinite game is to stay in the game. You lose the infinite game, or you drop out of the infinite game when you run out of the will or the resources to continue. Whenever you run out of the will or the resources to continue. Let me give you an example of this in real life. The Vietnam War. The US was playing a finite game. They were playing by finite rules, and therefore that's why it looks like we lost, because we did. Because we had in our mind, there's a time set, we're going to spend these resources, etc. They were playing by the rules of a finite game. Well, the Vietnamese or the Viet Cong were playing by rules of an infinite game. These guys were fighting for survival, and they were willing to do anything to stay in the game. Why? Because getting disqualified or losing the game literally meant losing their lives. So they were playing by the rules of an infinite game, where they didn't play by any rules, they made their own rules. We didn't know how many players they really had, and they were going to go until they could no longer go anymore, until they ran out of the will and the resources. Well, the US had an idea of how much they were willing to spend and sacrifice, and it wasn't what the Viet Cong was willing to sacrifice, so therefore they had to drop out of the finite game. Why am I sharing this? It's because that's what I've noticed with business and people who have been in this game for a while. A lot of them had failed. A lot of them have literally gone into debt, but they climbed their way out. They learned from it. If you guys noticed from my other video, if you remember, I said one thing. I shared this proverb: in all labor there is profit. In all labor, even labor where you make mistakes, even labor where you mess up, there's profit. Why? You may not profit in the sense of you got the result that you wanted, but you profit in the sense is that you've learned and gathered new data and information that you didn't once have, and therefore now you can build on that. You got to start thinking about profit in that manner. Okay, so that's the thing that I noticed, is that they're absolutely consistent. They've just been doing it for a longer time, and they're just continue. They're plugging away. They also understand that tribulation, right, trials, challenges, and struggles are necessary. It's not if they happen, it's when they're going to happen. It's not if a fire happens, right? It's when it happens. It's not if a challenge happens, it's when it happens. It's not if you lose a bid, it's when you lose the bid, okay? It's when someone messes up a job site. It's when an accident happens. How are you going to respond? Tribulation produces perseverance. You want tribulation, okay? That's how we get paid. If someone having some kind of trials in their life, right, may not be so severe, and we get paid to find a solution for that. They have a problem, we create a solution, they pay us for the solution, right? It may be junk removal, it may be building a house, it may be selling a house, it may be flipping a house, it may be they need a website up, whatever it may be, they have a problem, you produce a solution. Tribulation produces perseverance. You gotta persevere. And what does perseverance produce? Endurance, continuing, right? Continuing and pushing forward. It produces character, or another word for character is experience, okay? For instance, if you've ever done a marathon, if you ever fought or anything like that, you ever sparred, there's something called a poker face, okay? I'm not afraid to get hit. One big hit, somebody hits me, boom, I just keep moving forward, right? One big hit, I keep moving forward. They jab, I don't react. I don't overreact. Why? Because I have experience, right? I'm used to it. I know what to expect. I know what it feels like to be dragged into deep waters, and I know that if I continue and I persevere, I know what's on the other side. The same thing as a runner. Think about a runner here. Think about someone who does marathons. There's something called the wall. A first-time marathoner, they're going to hit this wall, and they're going to look around like, man, that guy, it looks like he's not struggling at all, man. He's just moving. No, that guy feels the exact same thing you feel. It's just that he's done 20 marathons. So he's expected this wall, okay? He expected to hit this wall. Sorry about that. He expected to hit this wall. He has experience, and he knows that all he has to do is keep plugging away, 1 foot at a time, 1 foot at a time. And that pain, that struggle, it's temporary, it's going to disappear. The first timer is looking around and wondering if everyone is experiencing the same thing they're experiencing. That's the difference, is consistency. Yes, there's other things, but it's consistency. Stay in the game. You hear a lot, businesses fail after 3 years. So-and-so fails after 5 years. This and this fails after this many years. You got to get in the game and in business with the will to keep going, with the idea that you're going to face struggles. You can't, the best case scenario, you have to think of the worst case scenario and how you're going to deal with that. You have to be optimistic in the worst case scenario. Anyways, I hope that helps. The idea is consistency. We have our low days. We have our slow seasons. My goodness. Sometimes in winter, you're just wondering, man, am I even a business owner? Winter takes some hustling, right? It takes some creativity to stay in business, to stay busy. A lot of times it's the contracts, the government contracts and things like that keeps you busy. But that comes with experience, right? You don't want to quit. Failure is a choice. Failure is a choice. It's not something that happens to you. It's something that you simply succumb to. Don't succumb to failure. Just learn, all right? So I hope that helped. Consistency, pushing forward, the ability to take your licks and move forward. It's just paying our dues, guys. That's all it is, all right? Move forward. Don't compare yourself. They look like they're doing this. They look like an overnight success, but they're not. There's a lot that goes in to looking like an overnight success that people don't know about. Anyways, I'll leave you guys be. Got to get back to our Saturday. Got to get home and do a few other things. Hello, bros, junk removal. Thanks for tuning in, guys. On to the next one.